Well, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to our Planets Through Ascendant series. And this week we're going to be covering our video of Sun in the third house in the sign of Pisces. And what happens when Sun is in the third house in the sign of Pisces while ruling the eighth house with the sign of Leo for a Capricorn ascendant person, Capricorn rising person. And as always, if you do not know what sign your sun is in, all the other planetary placements, what your ascendant is, your nakshatra placements, for that check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction Aspects, and Mahadashas at the Speed of Light. So let's get started with our sun in the third house in Pisces. So third house, as you know, represents younger siblings. Writing, journalism, arts, media, creativity, online entertainment, travel, short distance travel, marketing, sales, information, ego, teaching, self-learned knowledge. See, ninth house represents knowledge learned through a guru. And third house is directly opposite to learning without a guru. Then you have Sun sitting there in the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is in the third house. Pisces represents spirituality. Pisces represents higher realms and foreign places, foreign lands, isolation, ashrams. Then eighth house represents occult, mysticism, sorcery, hidden knowledge, joint assets, life and death scenarios, surgeries, in-laws, spouses, wealth. And then if you count 8 places from the 8th house. So if you go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. It's actually 8 places away from the 8th house. And this is the concept known as Bhavat Bhavam. So that means third house becomes the higher self of the 8th house. So third house represents transformation. Third house represents the changes that you want, not the changes that is given by the universe. Like suddenly change happens, suddenly death happens, suddenly loss or gain of money happens and lottery winning happens. Third house is like, all right, I want to bring a change, and I am going to bring a change, and I'm going to do it. So this is why third house is more of a self-undoing or self-doing type of a house. So whenever Sun is in the third house, and Sun represents the father, government, authorities. Sun is everything which is light. It's your soul. It's part of who you are. It's your vitality. So what this shows, first of all, is that your younger sibling will go to foreign places, foreign lands at one point in his or her life. And either you may not have younger siblings, or younger siblings, like I said, sails away to a far place. Because remember, Pisces is a water sign. Pisces represents foreign, long distance travel. So remember, Sun is a very hot planet. Sun, wherever it sits, it's going to burn some significance related to that house. So because it's burning the third house with the younger siblings, there will be something with the younger sibling. Maybe you guys live too far apart. Maybe you just have this very unorthodox relationship with the younger sibling, or you just don't have younger siblings. However, Pisces is a very sattvic sign, very pure sign. So usually if you have a younger sibling, relationship with the younger sibling may not be so bad. Because this is a very friendly sign to Sun. Sun is a sattvic planet. Sun is in the sattvic sign. There will be very emotional understanding between you and your spouse. You and your siblings, you and your neighbors. However, there's always seems to be some distance. Or perhaps your younger sibling at one point becomes very spiritual and wants to go and live in ashrams. What this also does, it brings good relationship with the father, but very unusual communication with the father. And you got to understand, Sun represents the father, and Sun is ruling the 8th house. So your self-transformation, your ability to understand communication, hidden knowledge, hidden things will come through the father. But also what happens is, father destroys your ego. If you have your own ego, oh, I am very good, I can do this, I'm very good at it, father may come in and say, no, you're an imbecile. You really don't know what you're doing. This is how it's really done. So father may have a tendency of destroying that ego. Now, like I said, this is a very pure and sattvic sign for the sun. And here, it won't feel so harsh coming from the father, that criticism, that what you're doing is not really right. I think you need to do it this way. So as much as I'm saying father will come and hurt your ego, you may not even feel like he's hurting my ego. He's just probably just correcting you in a very nice way. Your communication, your ability to write is always about writing about hidden things, like hidden government agendas. Because remember, Sun is government, and Sun's sign of Leo, which represents government, children, creativity, creative self-expression, is in the 8th house. So when you communicate with the 3rd house matter, whether you're writing, speaking, you will always tend to have conversation related to how the government is hiding something, and they are, there's all these different things in our world, and people need to know that. Like, for example, the best example is like David Icke or Jordan Maxwell or Andrew Wilcock. All these guys who tell us that there's something hidden underneath the surface and our governments are hiding. That's a perfect placement for 8th Lord being in the 3rd house of communication, communicating about the hidden secrets, unknown. It also shows one will always dread taking short distance travel. Short distance travel just always tend to bother you. Like, people who just don't like to be in traffic from their work to their job. It could be like 50 miles away. They don't like it. But this particular person loves far long distance travel, especially to pilgrimage, spiritual pilgrimage. And overall, this is the person who's very easygoing to some extent, very lazy, but when they communicate, they don't communicate very harshly. Even if they're talking about some hidden things, hidden agenda, they'll speak very softly about it. Unless Sun is sitting with Rahu or Mars, Sun is receiving the aspect of Saturn, then you got to understand things will change. Most definitely, the communication will become more, it's like still water and you're putting rocks in it. Still water and suddenly there's like a tsunami or storm coming in that lake. Then definitely you will see that communication in a way go haywire. And that's where the relationship with the father would be damaged. Relationship with the father would be separated, will be very distant. Like, you may like your father, but you just don't have that communication with him. So you look for all these aspects and conjunctions within your chart. Especially if like your sun is in the nakshatra of Uttar Bhadrapada. Okay? And also you got to understand, because 8th Lord is 8th from itself, person gets a long life. Whenever 8th Lord is in either the 2nd house or the 3rd house, person gets a long life, regardless of the aspect or not. Because, first of all, 8th from the 8th is the 3rd house. So it's rejuvenation of the 8th house. But then if the 8th Lord is in the 2nd house, then guess what it's doing? It's looking at the 8th house, its own house. It's going to protect those sudden events that can cause death and ending of your physical, physical body, physical enjoyments. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Sun in the 3rd house for Capricorn ascendant people. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Sun is placed, all the other astrological details, my books, reports, consultation, for that check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.